Hey everyone, Warwick's here. So patch 9.1.5 is out, so I finally can do these guides that I've been sitting on for a while. Today we're going to be doing a guide on Beast Mastery Hunter for patch 9.1.5. Some very small changes happened to the spec in terms of the AoE uncapping, and then of course the Covenant changes, so we're going to talk a little bit about those, as well as going over talents, legendaries, Covenants, Conduits, Soulbinds, which Domination shards you should be chasing, a little bit into your rotation, your stats and consumables, and anything else that you can think of in the comments we can discuss after that. So just wanted to kind of go over Beast Mastery Hunter as a whole. This has kind of become my main alt character, and so we're gonna kind of dive right into this today. So I'm gonna adjust this mic and turn over here because I've tried a new camera setup, and we're gonna first talk about talents for Beast Mastery Hunter. So the Beast Mastery Hunter talent trees don't have a ton of shifting that goes on in them. So on the 15 row, Animal Companion's the best one. You get you 2 pets. They do a little bit reduced damage and can help like charge targets on kill command, things like that. Killer Instinct was used in the past, giving like basically like a pseudo execute, but it just doesn't do enough this expansion. And Dire Beast is still bad. It's just never really been any good. And then we go from there. On the 25 row, Scent of Blood, activating Bestial Wrath grants you 2 charges of Barb Shot. So what you'll do on your opener, we'll talk a little bit more in depth about this basically, is you're going to dump Barb Shot and then Bestial Wrath to get both your charges back. One with the pack was used a lot in the last expansion with Rapid Reload and Dance of Death. Azurite traits that did not carry over into Shadowlands. So hopefully they can do a little bit of a buff to it. Chimera Shot has some benefits on 2-target cleave, but it's not very good overall compared to Scent of Blood along with your other abilities. On the 30 row, you can pick any of these. Natural Mending's a good default. Camouflage is good for Mythic Plus to enable skips. On the 35 row, Thrill of the Hunt. Basically, you get increased crit chance. You really like crit because of Wild Call. So this is just by far the best talent. Spitting Cobra has some potential in single target, but still not as good overall as Thrill of the Hunt. Murder of Crows is not good. Hasn't been good in a while. On the 40 row, any of these talents work. Post Haste again, another good default. Allows you to get a little bit of movement speed after disengage. Binding Shot is really good in Mythic Plus, just so that you can root a bunch of targets, so you can help your tank kite, or you can help gather mobs that potentially may run away. I'm thinking like the mini boss in Sanguine Depths. That's a place where this works. On the 45 row, Stomp's the only good talent. When you cast Barb Shot, your pet stomps the ground. Barrage is doesn't do enough damage, and Stampede doesn't do enough damage, even though it's like the ability that I would love to be able to use. On the 50 row, there's 2 talents you can choose here. Aspect of the Beast is going to be your best one in Mythic Plus situations, just because you get increased benefits from your pet family, as well as getting damage and healing buff to your pets themselves, and that's where a majority of your damage does come from. And then there's Bloodshed, which you can use in more pure single target situations. So the Terragru, Guardian in the raid, Tyrannical Boss Tweaks, you could see this play, where basically you cause them to bleed, and then all the damage from your pet is increased by 15% on a 1-minute cooldown. So it's not up all the time like Aspect of the Beast is, but it does provide a little bit more burst, which is something that Beast Mastery doesn't really do a lot with. So this talent build is there. There are some stuff you can go into single target for, but the gain that you get in single target for taking these talents, with the exception of maybe Bloodshed, versus the loss that you would have in AoE, is not really worth it. You might only gain like a 1 to 2% single target damage buff, but you're going to lose like 5, 6, 7% in your AoE damage. So, the trade-off isn't really worth it in that regard. So, but that's the talent build. You can run with this with some changes. Like I said, Camouflage, Binding Shot, Bloodshed. Those are really the only 3 rows that I would maybe change. Hopefully with future updates, we can get some changes to this talent tree, because that's been kind of the talent tree the entire expansion. All right, now let's talk about legendaries. So legendaries are going to depend a lot on your Covenant. So if you are a Kyrian like I am, or a Night Fae, you're going to want to generally use Rylak Stalker's Piercing Fangs. When Bestial Wrath is active, critical damage is increased by 35%. So very good. definitely want to be able to go ahead and take advantage of that. It's going to be very, very good. Soulforge Embers has kind of fallen out now with the introduction of Covenant legendaries. The Hunter class is the one that benefited the most from them. So this one is kind of just fallen off the map a little bit, even though if I still think its design is interesting. In terms of other Covenants, if you are Venthyr, you're going to use Pouch of Razor Fragments. Basically, when you use Flayed Shot, you get your bonus kill shots. They also cause 6 targets within 12 yards of your main target to bleed for 60% of the damage dealt over the 6 seconds. So this actually makes Pouch of Razor Fragments very good in dungeons. It makes it, well, not very good, it makes it better in dungeons, while still kind of having that single target superiority that that Venthyr Flayed Shot is kind of known for. And then if you are Necrolord, you're going to want to look at Bag of Munitions. So here you get, up to 2 targets hit by your Death Chakram are also hit by Explosive Shot. So Explosive Shot also kind of like explodes out in AoE, so you get single target and AoE benefit out of Death Chakram. These 2 legendaries have really boosted up these two Covenants as actually good, potentially viable choices. So if you just really like the way the Necrolord or the Venthyr armor looks, or you just want to get that transmog and you have to use these abilities, you have a couple of legendaries that you can get in the short term that you are able to take advantage of. So what Covenant should you, in terms of this Pact of the Soul Stalkers, it doesn't. It's too much of a damage loss and not enough of a gain, especially if you have a spec that doesn't really favor crit. So it doesn't really help there. And then Fragments of the Elder Antlers you can use in single target situations, or in small AoE situations, because when it's less than 5 targets, you're guaranteed second hits. So there's potential for this one in single target, but Rylak Stalker's Piercing Fangs is just going to be generally better. And then the Kyrian one, which is this one, like the Pact of the Soul Stalkers, is just not very good. So for your Kyrian, you're running Rylak Stalkers, which is what I use now. If you're Night Fae, you can choose either the Covenant Lego or Rylak Stalkers. And then if you're Venthyr and Necrolord, just to recap, you're using the Covenant one because it gives you both single target and AoE benefits. So it makes that makes those Covenants much more of a good choice than there was before. All right, so let's look at Conduits now. So for Conduits, we'll start with Potency. You're going to want to use, really in all situations, Bloodletting. Just getting a reduction in your barbed shot is always good. Allows you to maintain Frenzy a little bit easier, and you get increased damage on barbed shot, which you can see here for me. Well, this is there. You can see is, about 8 or 9% of my damage overall, which is pretty good. So it's going to be a very good one to use. Also, one with the Beast, very good. Beast Your Wrath increases all the damage you and your pet deal by an additional percentage. So more damage inside Beast Your Wrath. There's very good synergies with Rylak Stalkers here. Getting crit damage plus additional damage on top of that just makes everything really good. And then if you are everything but Necro, you're going to want to use your Covenant one. So Enfeebled Mark. I don't remember what the other 2 were called for Kyrian or for Venthyr or for Night Fae, but just use the Covenant one as your third one. If you are a Necrolord, things like Echoing Call probably going to be pretty decent, and then Ferocious Appetite also decent overall in terms of what you want to use for your third one. But like I said, Echoing Call I think is going to be the best one, because again, anytime you can get more barb shots helps you maintain your frenzy, which is going to make your damage overall really, really consistent. All right, now let's look into Soulbinds. So for Soulbinds, you are going to want to start with Kyrian, because I've already got this one up. And then I'll grab the Soulbind calculator for the other ones. So for early renown, Pelagos is the best. Go to this point here just because you get a lot of mastery out of combat meditation, decent little defensive by Let Go of the Past. Combat meditation is really good. As you get into the deeper trees, though, you can see I've already activated this myself. The Effusive Anima Accelerator from Mechanicos is just going to be too good, giving you huge reduction, 20-second reduction on your 1-minute cooldowns. You can Resonating Arrow every 40 seconds. You know, if you're hitting 5 targets with this every time, so in AoE, you're going to have it up quite a bit. And Soul Glow Spectrometer is also really good. Basically, you gain an additional damage to a target, you know, and you get it increased by 5% essentially. So you gain increased damage over time. So these two talents right here, plus Brawn getting buffed in patch 9.1, makes Mechanicos the best late game soulbound for hunters. Now go ahead and pull this here, and we're gonna look at Necrolords next. For Necrolords, Bonesmith Ymir is the best one because you get Forgeborn Reveries. We'll just leave these unfilled, and then here, you know, you get Runeforge Spurs or Bonesmith Satchel. You can literally take either of these. It's completely up to you. And then you're going to want to take second potency into Gore Stompers. There is potential for Marrow Gemstone, but you have to have decent crit rating, and Ravenous Pendant giving you 2, it's just not good, not very good. And then down here, you're going to want to look at Carver's Eye. So it gives you good mastery in the early parts of fights versus Walking Bone Breastplate, which basically gives you more health, but you're not going to be near enemies. So this isn't very good. And then at the end, you have Mnemonic Equipment, where you basically get damage below 35% is repeated by 3%. So this is really good for obviously like kill shot. So you get a big kill shot crit, and then you get 3% of that damage again. So just some really good synergies with kill shot there. So this is the build that I would go for Necrolord. Let's move on to Night Fae. For Night Fae, late game soulbound. Early on, it's Nausea because you get poison or burrs. As you get into the late game, though, it'll actually be Dreamweaver that you're going to want to look at. So let's see. Let's do the. I think it's, yeah, so we'll go here into the potency, and then you're going to want to go with, you can't go with Soothing Voice to get your second one here. This is not going to be, this will be somewhat decent with Binding Shot, so there's good synergies there. Social Butterfly is all good as well. If you're in tight packed in with your group, gaining more versatility, we'll go with this because I think the second potency Conduit plus Binding Shot gives you some really good potential here. Then you get your second endurance. And to pick one of these, I just do, you know, Bullist. And Field of Blossoms is the big reason for this. Big haste. When you use Wild Spirits, you know, you get 15% haste for 24 seconds. And then you also grab, you know, Waking Dreams, so you can get a shield, which is good because hunters are squishy. And Dream Delver is really the big one that is going to make this really good at high renown. So when you get to 54 renown, you'd want to switch to Dreamweaver. Basically, you gain increased damage on that target for up to, you know, 3% extra damage, plus the haste boost from Field of Blossoms, which you can easily move in because you're Beast Mastery and you're supremely mobile. This just ends up being a really good one. You can still go with Naya, come down here to Bonded Hearts with Grove Invigoration. It's still going to be decent, but not as good as Dreamweaver is going to be. And then for Venthyr, it's Nausea. Thrill Seeker, giving you haste, is basically what you're going to want to chase all the time. You come down here, you can grab Familiar Predicaments, or you can go Exacting Preparation. So, let's see. Let's reset this because I screwed up. So Thrill Seeker, Potency, into that, into... We'll talk about these in just a second. Here, you're going to grab that, and then... that and this, or you could do Dauntless Duelist if you're going pure single target. It's also very good. And then you go here, then Simple Preservation, and then of course you're gonna get you probably would just want to do like Cheetah's Vigor here or something for the finesse, or Reversal of Fortune rather. That's what you're gonna want. And then you get Fatal Flaw, which when you end with Euphoria, you gain crit or verse, whichever you have more of, which will generally be crit, because that's your best stat priority. More on that in just a minute. So yeah, that's the Soulbind calculators. These are the paths you want to take. For Venthyr, neither of these other two. Draven has some good defensive properties if you find out that you're just really not living anything. But for the most part, you're going to always want to pick your top damage group. All right, let's talk about the Domination sockets. The short version is, let's just grab this, loot. So Domination sockets, there's pieces here that are going to have this. For male, I think it's feet, shoulders, chest, head, and one other slot. I think it's gloves. That is going to have these Domination sockets where you can get your bonus, whether it's Frost, Blood, or Unholy. You're going to want Blood as the BM hunter, because you get, the sustain, which again, you're a fairly squishy class. So anything that's going to help you live is going to be useful. So not much to say on Domination sockets. Go out, get your blood bonus, and you're going to be Gucci. All right, now let's talk about the rotation. So there's a couple of ways the rotation works here. So you can start on your opener, and then there's like a kind of maintain your priority. So we'll just do this Valiant Resolve. So to start, of course, because of your thing, you want to dump this, and then you can go into Call with Beast Mastery, do this, get your third stack, and then you just kind of fill in the gaps. Cool. Do this on cooldown, keep your mastery up. All right, and then you just kind of go from there in terms of getting everything done. So that's basically all it is. You just maintain your frenzy stacks as much as possible, and then you kill command on cooldown along with barb shot. So let me heal my pet there while I'm doing that. So that's basically the rotation. Like, you Bestial Wrath on cooldown, Call of the Wild or Aspect of the Wild on cooldown. And then in AoE situations, the only difference that you do in AoE situations, as we come over here, is that, let me wait for these cooldowns. We'll just use the cooldowns here. So again, you want a barb shot, Bestial Wrath into this, and then basically all you're doing is maintaining Beast Cleave. So you can see right here, this is my Beast Cleave. So you just kind of keep it going there. Keep that going. So maintaining frenzy is the most important part of the process. Now, Beast Cleave and Multi-Shot, which activates Beast Cleave, both got uncapped into like the square root reduced damage formulas. So that makes Beast Mastery AoE not better than Marksmanship, but it does make it much, much more consistent. So if you have an extended pull for any particular reason, then Beast Mastery is going to be able to really shine because you have that uncapped Beast Cleave, Multi-Shot, things of that nature. All right, so let's talk about stats. So for stats for Beast Mastery Hunter, generally speaking, agility is always going to be your top stat, just because agility gives you attack power. It gives you, better shot, better. It's basically just attack power. It's always going to be a good stat to get. And then after that, you're going to want to get higher haste because it reduces things like barb shot, reduces, I think, kill command as well. But it also allows you to just pump out more damage, and your pets benefit from the haste a little bit. After that, you're going to want to look at either crit or versatility. I favor crit personally because wild call, but versatility, another good stat to have. And then mastery kind of falls in towards the bottom. Just increases the damage done by your pets. It's not bad, but it doesn't have as much synergy with your kit as crit and haste particularly do. And then, of course, I have Leech because I have a Ferocity pet out right now. All right, so for weapon enchants, you can see I have the Optical Target Embiggener. You can do that one, or you can do the Reflex Sight, which are both fine. And if you don't want to go with a scope, you can do Celestial Guidance for the chance at 5% agility. It's not as good as Optical and Target Embiggener, which does, I believe, crit, and then the other one does haste. Or Optical Target Embiggener does haste, and I think Reflex Sight does crit, one of the two. So scopes are going to be your best bet. You can really pick either one. Either way, you're going to benefit from it. And then for other enchants, you're going to want on your cloak, which I don't have yet, Avoidance or Leech. I think are both going to be fine. Avoidance tends to work a little bit better. Leech can just help you continue to synergize with your Ferocity pet. 30 stats on this, Shaded Hearthing, Shadowlands Gatherer, 15 agility here, and then crit or haste on your rings. are going to be your best bet in terms of other stats. You can also do haste. Versatility could also work here. Like me, I could probably benefit from doing versatility a little bit more. You know, you'd have to run your sims to see which one it's going to be. As far as pets go, your pet is going to depend on the situation that you are in. So if you are the only heroism class, then you are absolutely going to want to run your ferocity pet. If you need, if you're not a heroism, I'd recommend using a tenacity pet, which will help you with your defensive capability. So that's the guide on Beast Mastery Hunter, guys. I hope you all enjoyed that. Take some time to like, share, and subscribe to the video. So until the next video, I hope we'll get Survival Hunter out next. So until the next video, I hope you all stay safe. Hope you all staying vaccinated or getting vaccinated, and I'll see you in the next video.